Belikan have two names. The original name is Belikan, and another one Nyakun. Because the sound, if we play, it almost sing Nyakun. If one play like that, that is the first sound that you can hear.
I was an artist and a theatre designer, and then I moved to Kuching. So British people, they don't really know much about Borneo. I think we know the stereotype, there's a lot of rainforest, we know there's a lot of indigenous groups, but really to know Borneo or Sarawak, Sabah, not really a lot of information. So when I first came here in 2006 for holiday, it was such an incredible experience for me to travel to Iban longhouses in Serian, and then I'm looking around the longhouse and suddenly I see the tikar, I see the bakul, all the baskets, and I was amazed just seeing the weaving. I realized these women, the techniques and the processes that they can do, they're geniuses. So I decided that I wanted to learn a bit more, and I started doing a master's on craft development with rural communities in Sarawak. And then I did my master's and learned how to be a researcher, taught myself a lot about craft. I was very lucky to go to a lot of communities and they shared so much information. I think probably the first time I heard the sape was at the Rainforest World Music Festival, and I saw Matthew Niao on stage playing, and the sound is so beautiful and relaxing. Borneo Bengkel, it's an art platform where we work with creatives from Sarawak, Sabah, Kalimantan and Brunei. And I met an artist, Gindong Mukfedi, and one day we were talking about Sarawak and the music and the sape, and he said to me, you know, actually Sabah has got its own version of the sape. It's called the Sundatang. I'd never heard of it before, and from that moment I was really intrigued. I thought, hey, I wonder what other instruments there are out there that we don't know about. So boat lutes are a family of instruments. The sape is like the famous cousin. They've got aunties and uncles and other cousins like the sundatang, the belikan, the kecapi, the tapi. And so a boat lute is an instrument that is carved from one piece of wood. It's hollowed from the front or the back, and they use the same tool that they use for boats to hollow it out. So some people say it's called a boat lute because it looks like a boat. Other people say it's because it's the same tool that they use for boat making. So one day I was speaking to Harry Hashim, who is a sape maker, and we were talking about these different instruments, and then he said to me, you know, actually the Iban have got a belikan, and I'd never heard of this before. So he started sharing more and more. Harry, our star belikan maker.
My name is Harry, born and raised in Miri. 10 years ago, when I was teenagers, I was introduced to sape, and then after that, when I came to Kuching, I met Howard. That's where we found out our own Iban musical instrument called belikan.
I'm Howard, and at the moment I have this passion, or what we call this interest in all these traditional instruments that we have here, especially in Borneo. It started off with me playing sape, and then I bumped into one of these musical instruments that we have here, this belikan right now. And right before that, I never knew it existed until I had this conversation with my father, where he then mentioned that, yes, there is something played by Iban that looks similar like sape. So that's when I came about to know about belikan.
The first time I saw a belikan was from an old photo by Hedda Morris. In the photograph, there is a Dayak man playing what looks like a sape, but you see his haircut, you see his tattoos, you see the people behind, and the puukumbu. And so I looked at this photo and I thought, oh, this really looks like an Iban community, but it looks like a sape. So this Iban man, has he berjalai and he found the sape, or is their own instrument? And then finally the first belikan I saw was from Dato Edmund. longing to go and meet him and do a big documentation, because we're at a point in time right now that if we don't document these elders and their knowledge, it could be gone forever.
Our mission is to actually find what was this tune and what was originally being played back in the days. Was it similar or was it adapted based on original bass areas?
Hello, Dato. Hello. Marita. Anna. We brought our friend.
He's quite a prominent figure among the Iban in the history of Iban and also in Iban cultures. He knew quite a lot, and then he's interested in preserving the culture that we have today. There's a very close reference to how I knew about Belikan. And yeah, luckily he owns one and he calls it Belikan or / Nyakun.
When he knew about it, and then he brings me along to meet the Tosri, and then that's where we knew how it sounds and everything. I actually have no idea how does it look like and everything.
I am an Iban boy from Sungai Kelampai of Betong Division now. I was born in a longhouse and also brought up in a longhouse, so I have some knowledge of Iban culture, Iban adat and custom. The people now come to me when they need some information on Iban culture, Iban adat, Iban languages, Iban histories. I was interested in Belikan since I was a small child, maybe 4 or 5 years old like that, because my father was expert in Belikan, so I learned a bit. So this is my Belikan given by one of my cousins. So many people borrowed it because they tried to copy it. I just allowed them. I don't know how long ago we came to know about Belikan. I trace it from history. Iban were together with unseen people who even believe they are still living, but they cannot be seen. These are the people of Merawak Lamok, Munyi Berimbau Bol Nebang, Bukit Lantar Sumpit, Nuju ke Langit Tela Harman. This is also called Pangau Libau Landat Debiau Daun Esang.
Pangau as another entity beyond human beings.
Like the Western, they have their Greek gods, Zeus and everything. The Pangau is like our gods.
These are the people that lived with us before. I just heard it. I did not really learn it from the elders, but I heard the elders told me that the people knew how to use Belikan for their entertainment. For safe or comforting, if you feel not that comfortable, you can take your Belikan and play with it. Then another thing, few people, if they want to learn ngajat, one can play Belikan and 1 or 2 people can try to ngajat.
I borrow one of his belikan and then I'll bring back home, and then we copied the exact size and everything, and we make a new one. So I was trained like working with woods since I was really, really young. I always follow my father to make people houses, construction site. At the time, I didn't know that these skills will benefit me in the future. So now I'm a boat maker.
The Iban always look for kayu ampul, that mean light wood, and also alus, smooth. That is light and also can produce a nice sound. You have to make it deep like this one, so that the sound would be better and stronger. And this, the tudong, cannot be too thick. It must be thin enough. And this one also, it must to be made at an appropriate place, so that the belikan can be played melodically.
The belikan, like right now, nearly extinct, so there was no maker, there was no people who still practice it. So I, as an Iban myself, I have to take the responsibility to make the belikan. I have the skill set to make sape, and then why don't I make a belikan myself too?
The belikan was actually never widely practiced, so I think for some of the revivalists like Harry, one of the challenges is there's very few examples for him to copy.
Almost every family, every door in the long house, they have one, but not the belikan. More than 30 long houses, I don't think you can find even 3 belikans.
And then the process of making is a little bit more complicated than the sape. So the sape is hollowed from the back and then it's strung, but the belikan have a sound plate on the front. So technically it's a bit more complicated to make because you have to hollow and then place the wood on the front, and also it's got a long neck, whereas the sape has got a short neck. So I think the first time that I saw a tapi was through Rining Peter. So we went to Rining Peter's workshop, and there he had, I think, 4 different tapi. The wonderful thing about Rining Peter is he sings as well. So when he plays the tapi, then he will sing. So the sound is similar to sape, but the song and the language is completely different. Hi, Rining.
Hello. Welcome.
Rining he's very funny, but he's also quite far along on his tapi journey. He's been doing it for, I think, 5-10 years now. He's recorded an album. He's the only contemporary tapi maker, but he's showing some of the younger members like Harry that actually, you can really go on a long journey with this instrument.
When Rining said he wants to start with tapi, I was really amazed lah.
Datu doi sebulan, datu deng, datu deng. So I'm from Lumbawang tribes, Rining Peter Paris. That is my name, from the highlands of Baklalan, northern part of Sarawak. Datu deng, datu deng, datu doi sebulan, datu deng, datu deng, datu doi sebulan. It means I'm so sad, I'm so lonely, something like that. That's my direct translation. So, something like the song, the young people's song now, lonely, I'm so lonely. Maybe the song from that, right? Tapi actually more on personal entertainment. And when you are alone in the long house, that these all people last time always play at their turtle, and they're alone and then they play this song. So, tapi it's not used for ritual or anything like that. It's more on the entertainment itself, yeah. Kalande, lande, Lande. My first music instrument is guitar. I am not traditional music instrument. So I thought myself, why don't I start involved in playing sape? So that is how I start playing sape. Then I started to make my own sape. I learned from one of the sape maker in Kuching here. Toward the end 2017, Len Guru Michang Tui, Lumbawang elder and he was a teacher before so then he told me, hey, that is not ours. Ours is tapi and not sape. So that is the starting point where I try to look for tapi. And then after that, okay, I try to find tapi. Yes, I know about this tapi before because I remember my late grandpa also had one. I think I need to go to Indonesia. So I went to Indonesia, my mother's side, then I asked my uncle and my auntie, where is the tapi? Is any tapi still here in this house? I said. Then my auntie said, I think I saw one, he said. One on the turtle, on the firewood. So I rushed there and I saw this tapi. This tapi. And I straight away take this tapi, and then I told her, I take this tapi and bring him to Sarawak, I said. And that is how it started the journey.
For me, the boat lutes are really interesting because it's a way for people to learn about their cultural heritage and their past and the way how people lived. But it's also a tool to talk about contemporary issues. So why are these instruments endangered? Why are they not practiced anymore? Is it because of deforestation? Because communities no longer have access to the jungle?
Madudun lok manaro, madudun lok nan kai manu, temulut korat dai. There's one chanting that all people of Lumbawang always chant when they open up a new lane. But then I composed my own tune, which I call Pulung Tau. Pulung Tau means our forest. Balapang suwit, temulut ranggawa, pelanukuir nalan narang kayu. So the chorus say, Pulung Tau, our forest is so beautiful. And it's given to us for us to till and take care of it. And the last line say, Pulung Tau is so beautiful. So it's more about the beautifuls of our forest and our responsibility to take care of our forest. This is all about. Mangunku atupu kulukdo.
So after I met with Harry and Gindung and Rining and Ezra as well, we decided that it would be a good idea to set up Borneo Boat Lute Revival. And Borneo Boat Lute Revival is basically looking at the sape over the last 20-30 years has gone through this huge revival. If that can happen to the sape, why not to all of the other instruments?
I come across with Kat when he asked me about this tapi, this instrument, and then we talk about how to revive this music instrument and the initiative that she did. I get the idea, and then this is very good and very interesting. That of me alone to do this, and somebody want to help me is more proper way, we can work together.
From that point, we really try to diverge our opinions and our thoughts on what are the boat lutes that we actually have here in Borneo, or even from other Southeast Asian countries that we have here. And from there, we really expose ourselves to more of these musical instruments.
In 2021, we were fortunate enough to be invited to perform at Rainforest World Music Festival and also Borneo Jazz Festival. So at both of those festivals, we did workshops, we did sharing sessions, and we share about which members are doing the cultural revival. People are fascinated, actually, really interested to learn about it.
the first experience I bring the Belikan to the stage. It feels really good to have these teams with comrades with me together. I'm a stage fright person, so with all these friends support, listen, my nervousness and everything.
For the first time, then how Cat also bring and propose Tapi to be presented during World Rainforest Music Festival last year. Also something that her own initiative and connect with different people.
And that was the first time Tapi was performed at the Rainforest World Music Festival. Is the young innovator. He is wanting to explore how to contemporize the instrument, how to respect the Belikan and its traditions, but also how to make this accessible for modern music.
This is the first time we blend these two instruments together, and then it kind of works really well. But when these two instruments comes together, it becomes something like really, really beautiful and soulful. When we play, the tunes is kind of like mystical. It kind of brings us back to the olden days. Really mesmerizing for me.
So finally hearing the Belikan and the Sape played together, it was really, really nice to hear actually, and also see the potential of the Belikan, how it can become like almost like a bass guitar to support other sounds and other instruments. So in the UK there is a craft revival that's going on. There's a lot of younger people that want to revive the traditions and the heritage. But because of the Industrial Revolution, so many of those crafts were lost 100 plus years ago. But the incredible thing about Borneo is that actually there's still access, there's still community members that are still doing it, but time is running out. So I really hope with Borneo Boat Lute Revival we can inspire other young people to be researchers and to document and to go to their villages, whether it's about boat lutes, whether it's about craft, whether it's about song, any of the cultural heritage that is still so rich here, and document and record it before it's gone forever.
Busak baku dilun busak baku dilun busak baku. I come to know it when we go back to village, my mother's side, at the Indonesian day. They always sing this busak baku. When I play that one, I feel like this is Lun Bawang. The pride feeling of I am Lun Bawang is still there.
My hope for the Belikan is in the future it will be more well known. It will be same level or more than guitar. It can be a worldwide musical instrument where all people can play it.
As long as Ngajat still popular, then the Belikan still can be used.
Because of course culture does not just sit in a museum. It's something that evolves and it adapts, and it needs to be relevant in our daily life. So how can these instruments provide that way for people to explore their past, their heritage and their history, but also their modern lives?